So here we have it, the ace game. Possibly the most important game for Bly right now, because he won game number 1. Game number 2, he was the aggressor, but it didn't work out for him. He wasn't able to get enough damage down early on to justify the investment he put into the attack. He's spawning up to the top left. He's the orange Zerg and he plays for Acer. Now down in the bottom right is jjakji. He's playing from Korea, so may have some latency issues. Game 1 was caught completely off guard by a Mutalisk tech switch, and from there Bly just snowballed against him. And so he ended up losing game number 1. Map 2, Bly tried to get very aggressive early on, but jjakji held it nicely. He took some damage, but it wasn't so much that he couldn't fight his way back. From that point, he had a lead. He just controlled his army nicely, went mech again, and meant that he leveled out this series. He plays for My Insanity, and of course he's the Red Terran. So, where do we go now? What is jjakji going to do? Bly's sending out a drone quite early. He's checking for a 2-racks. Now that's a really, really smart decision against jjakji, because on King Sejong Station, which is already a great map to go for 2-racks on, jjakji is the sort of player who will happily pull out a 2-racks in a best of 3. Like, even in the ace game, he has no fear. If he feels it, if he's got the decision to go for the 2-racks, he will do it. But he's actually mixing it up, going for the CC first. And you can see how concerned Bly is for this. Just checking around everywhere to make sure that he's just keeping a good look on any kind of attempt at a proxy 2-racks, because jjakji is actually quite well known for being willing to do that. A lot of Koreans won't do it, especially in online events, but jjakji will. Anyway, spawning pool now coming down for Bly. He went for a hatch first, so a normal opening. He was just being a little bit cautious. Discovering now with this Overlord that jjakji actually went for the command center first. So kind of a full swing. If you're expecting your opponent to be going for, say, a proxy 2-racks, and instead they go command center first, the whole mindset that you've gone into this game thinking and what you're concerned about has been completely flipped on its head. So psychologically, that is potentially an advantage for jjakji. The other thing to bear in mind is, even though we're in the ace game and it all comes down to this, but if you think about it, you've got a bit of an interesting situation psychologically, because jjakji lost game 1, fought back in game 2 to level it out. So he's already on the winning streak now. Bly, winning game 1 would have been on a high. And now he's kind of thinking, that game didn't really go to plan. I was very aggressive. He's going to ultra up his playstyle. Should be able to get this SCV. Every little helps and all. Little boost of speed for those Zerglings over creep. Just a second of it. This poor SCV is just like, please, please help, please. He can't get away. I feel so bad for SCVs. Like, the way they explode. Actually, a lot of Terran units just explode. It's quite sad times. Ooh, Bly going for the Roach Run. What did he cancel? I didn't actually see. He cancelled it like instantly. Changed his mind on something. Okay. So this hasn't been seen yet. It is unbeknown to jjakji that this is even coming. He doesn't know about the Roach Run. There's no Zergling speed coming down for Bly as well. So this is a big commitment to roaches. Compared to the last game when he did have Zergling speed down, it's going to be a lot more aggressive. Should be 8 roaches, maybe even more. Straight off the back, hitting very, very early since speed was skipped. 4 roaches, 5 roaches, he can still make more. Just limited on the minerals, unfortunately. Okay, 6 roaches on their way. No baneling nest at the moment. 8 roaches, there we go. You may even see more. You may see him go up and just pump all of his gas into roaches. Quick little look here, jjakji. Not bothering with much else. Notice just how high level that was. He pulled a mule because it wouldn't have had time. It would have had time to mine some minerals, but wouldn't have had time to return them. So he didn't want to waste some minerals on his base. That is ridiculous when you notice little things like that and just the sort of level these players are on. Hellions checking around, trying to find if there's any Zerglings, but they've hidden down the edge here, just beside the main of jjakji. Poor Hellion's going to run into a bit of trouble, at least what this one is. Noticing. That was a very, very early check. Or that Hellion was actually very aware. SCVs will need to be pulled now. in order to repair up this wall. There's only 2 Marines in here and Hellions. Not the greatest defense, but again, the Banshee's coming. But the Banshee is a lot later. It's not out on the field yet. And that's because Bly not having to wait for the Banelings. Those SCVs getting picked away at. The Hellions as well. If they come too close, the Roaches just have something to say. Focusing down the bunker isn't really an aim for Bly here. He wants to take out as many SCVs as possible. Hellions not really very efficient. More SCVs being forced to pull. 9 workers have been killed, but still, there's a worker lead currently for jjakji. jjakji repairing this up nicely. The Roach count dwindling actually pretty quick, and with this Banshee coming out, again, jjakji is going to get a nice hold. Still waiting, still checking, but 28 workers to 36. Depends what this counterattack can do. If the counterattack picks off any drones, I'd still call this in favor of jjakji. Resources lost are in favor of jjakji, but obviously jjakji's losing workers. Whether it was enough workers, though, is always really tough to tell, because even though Bly's 9 drones up, there's 2 mules available for jjakji, and he's also going into this quick third. And regardless, it's going to be a delayed third for Bly now, because he's going to have to try and defend this. He's already got spines coming up, a spore coming up. This Banshee moving on forward. With Cloak as well, going to be quite aggressive up against these Queens. The Hellions going straight forward. Getting a decent amount of damage out. The Spine Quarter will finish, but in come the Hellions. Good little number of Lings out on the field now. They're going to try and get this round, but it's going to be tough to do so. There's not enough of them to do it. Good pick off now by these Hellions. Quite a few drones are going to get roasted. jjakji now looking to be in a nice spot. Great little pull by Bly, though, of those drones. Takes down all of the Hellions. That was very, very smooth. Minimizing the damage and the losses he was taking. He's only got 2 drones so far. Very, very good control. Spore Crawler slowly working through. Down goes that Spine. Good pick off with the Banshees there. This is very, very tense times for Bly. He's also not producing very much. He's just trying to wait it out. Spore Crawler being constructed in the main base, but this is where a good amount of damage is being done, actually. Picking away at those drones is beautiful for him. 9 workers killed now. jjakji again ahead in terms of the worker count. Very, very important to him. Few shots coming on. Ooh, nice little pick up there of one of these Banshees. Looking round, Bly. Gonna go and take his 3rd base. This is very, very late though. 10 minutes, like 40-ish, to take a 3rd is so late if you're going Zerg. The aggression, if we look at the resources lost, Bly's still losing about 500 more resources than his opponent. jjakji's got that 3rd finished. He's got the orbital command, so he's got the additional mule, and he's still up in the worker count. This is massive for jjakji. He's also making that thought, so he's not going to get caught out again by the quick switch to Mutalisks. Although Bly would have a much harder time switching to Mutalisks here. I know he is trying to do that, but it's still going to be a lot harder. And the reason being is because he doesn't have this 3rd base. He's limited to only 4 gas geysers rather than 6, which reduces his Vespian income per minute by about 200. So obviously that's 2 mutas a minute that just aren't going to be there. Add in as well, missile turrets are coming. This is just jjakji adapting. He knows that he's ahead at this stage. There's no doubt about it. So because he's ahead at this stage, and in game 1 he lost because of obviously the Mutalisks he wasn't expecting, just throws down the missile turrets early. Couple more worker kills. Nearly actually leveling out the total worker kills this game, which is really important. jjakji juking out with his Queen. Not going to win. It's pretty close. One more volley from that Banshee I think would have killed it. The other Banshee has been brought home, repaired up. Very, very important, repairing up your units. And overall, jjakji is again looking to go into mech. He's obviously got a good number of factories down. He's getting the Thors out. This could be somewhat him choosing to mech because he's playing from career onto EU rather than going bio where you need to split well and that sort of stuff. He's saying, well, if I do have lag issues, mech is going to be less affected by it than going for a bio. Okay, so jjakji's still just trying to be very, very proactive with where he goes with these Hellions. Just trying to keep good control of the map. I love the addition of a couple of Widow Mines about. Just really helping. Waiting to see where we go from here. It looks like a little bit of frame drop for Bly at the moment. Checking around what he's got. So he's got 9 Mutalisks coming on down. But he's in a he's in just such a hard spot anyway. These Mutalisks needed to do a lot, but with the missile turrets already placed, with 2 Thors already out, it's going to be very, very difficult for Bly to do anything. Checking round. Good creep spread coming from Bly. It's important he pushes this out. It makes it harder to engage upon creep. As a Terran player, you don't want to be engaging on creep really ever. Hydrogen also on its way, but not much gas to be supporting this because of obviously the Mutalisks. And these Mutalisks are just flat out in a bad spot. There's now 3 Thors here. A couple of Widow Mines about. Missile turrets scattering the land. The Mutalisks are going to have a very, very challenging time trying to push into this. Ooh, that Widow Mine, he doesn't even know. Just dodging it. So lucky. Okay. 1 tank exposed there. The way Bly can maybe fight his way back into this is by doing trickle damage. Yeah, lost the Mutalisk. It would have been nice if he could have avoided that. The Widow Mines can, of course, now be seen as well, thanks to this Observer. Or Overseer, rather. He knows that they're there. But, of course, the Thors are still in position. Little Widow Mine hit goes down. Nearly takes down that Overseer, as does the Thor hit. It just survives 35 HP. Behind this Hive coming on down, Bly is still racking up a decent amount of gas, so pumping out some Hydralisks. Also trying to take a 4th, but if we look at the army value from these two. Army supply is 96 to 50 in favour of jjakji. jjakji's got just a much larger force at the moment. And he's still not in a position where he's going to be pushing out yet. He's going to wait for probably 150, 170 supply before he moves. Adding in just more missile turrets, which is ideal, because if he does move out, he doesn't want to be counterattacked by the Mutalisks. And adding in just another 3 missile turrets to this natural base is going to be very important. His main is a bit more exposed, actually. But as I say that, he adds in more missile turrets. A small flock of Mutalisks, as we've got here. Only 8 of them. They're not going to be able to duke it out with missile turrets. Even running past them could end up being pretty risky. So he's instead just playing this as safe as possible. A couple of shots come down on that debris. A couple of good shots on that Overseer. Take it out. That means Widow Mines are now a bit more effective. Importantly for Bly is getting the Vipers out, and those Blinding Clouds, those Abducts that we saw in Game 2, and also when he played up against Strelok in the quarterfinals, could end up being vitally important as the game continues, but he's fighting from such a deficit that it's gonna be just so hard. I'm trying to think of ways that Bly can fight his way back in, and he's certainly doing it. Buying time is really his best option. But jjakji's already on 4 bases. He's adding in more missile turrets. He's very secure in his defensive position at the moment. Looking to move up here with some Roaches and Hydras plus those Mutalisks, but not going to be able to advance much further. jjakji on top of this. jjakji's also adding in multiple additional command centers. And the purpose of adding in these additional command centers is to make more orbitals so we can lose SCV count as it gets later, freeing up supply in order to get down, obviously, more mech. And that's a pretty solid principle late game in Terran mech, is that you've got mules available. Mules don't cost you any supply, so you can get most of your mineral income, which you're not desperately reliant upon meching, out of those mules. You don't need as many SCVs. Roaches and Hydras may get lucky and get a couple of units here. They do actually manage to pick up a few. So again, that's nice. Helps start, or at least works towards trying to level out those resources lost. Now these sensor towers, vitally important for jjakji. The one downside to mech is it's fairly immobile, so just having the information about where these units are coming, when they're coming, he can reposition his force in order to prepare for them, and that's very, very vital for jjakji. Interesting choice now, Ultralisks coming on through. Ultras can be quite a cool choice. Of course, if there's Blinding Clouds stopping the tanks doing too much damage, they're going to be quite strong. The Marauder count is non-existent because, of course, this is a meching Terran. Be interesting to see how these Ultras are going to work. Meanwhile, in terms of upgrades, jjakji not started his +3 vehicle attack yet. A couple of Blinding Clouds coming down. Just stopping that Planetary Fortress from doing anything. Good repair coming on out though. Add in the fact that these tanks are now here. The Planetary will still fall. So a good little snipe there from Bly. That's actually a fantastic snipe from Bly. He got the sensor tower as well. That gives him a bit more freedom out on the map. And that map freedom could be vital if he wants to continue doing these little hit and run attacks. The downside is it may also trigger jjakji just to go kill him. Jjakji is pretty much maxed out at this stage. He's got a fairly large army. And also, picking up that planetary is okay, but jjakji has quite a few spare orbital commands. So, it is a bit like... It's a bit Blue Peter-ish. You can just grab out another orbital command. He's like, ah, here's one I made earlier. I'll plonk that back down on my 4th. But now out come the Ultras. These Ultralisks have a lot of work to do. There's even a planetary at the back here. This is so hard for Bly. Really difficult. He just needs to, unfortunately, wait out a bit. I don't think he can assault into jjakji's position here unless he has Broodlords. And even then, getting to Broodlord tech now would take him a long time. Bly has stabilized a lot in terms of his economy. He's also got, going up to now 4, 5, 6 bases. So, if he does get up to 6 bases, that's massive for him. If he's able to. Might get an engagement before that, though. A couple of good blinding clouds on the tanks. A few abducts also coming on through. Note, though, this is quite a tight choke for these Ultras to try and get through. A lot of them just freaking out behind those Hydralisks. But there's just such a large tank count. That wasn't a good trade for Bly. He loses a heck of a lot and decides that the Great Aspire, the Broodlords, may be his only option. That was not a nice trade for Bly at all. jjakji just has such a good arc. And the tanks are spread nicely as well, so that the blinding clouds just weren't enough to cut out a decent number of those. There's 5 Vipers coming on through, so at max energy that would give him 10 blinding clouds, which would certainly help shut out some of these. But even the missile turret wall is just moving ever closer. jjakji fairly happy just to bide his time. He's going into ultra late game now, Terran. He's adding in these additional starports. It's going to just start probably a lot of Raven production. We should do anyway. Going actually for Banshee at the moment. That's quite a neat decision. Of course, that Great Aspire nearly done. 13 Corruptors coming on out. Bly maxed at the moment. Does he have any Roaches left? No Roaches left yet. He's probably going to want to free up some of that supply out of the Hydralisks. They're not going to be too good later on. The creep spread from Bly is absolutely fantastic. Like, he's pretty much got the entire map covered with creep spread now. Other than where jjakji actually is. But jjakji's covering the entire map with sensor towers. I don't think it's particularly easy for jjakji to have any idea where his opponent isn't at this stage. Maybe you could fly some Hydralisks down the side, but of course they're going to get spotted by here. So a couple of options of where to go. Ooh, one Viper getting a little bit confused. Gets taken out. That's actually very irritating. One blinding cloud came down from it, but those Vipers are very, very gas expensive units. You want to be incredibly careful where you go with that. Up come the Ultras now. Blinding Clouds are going to shut out some of these tanks, but there are more further back. A couple will get taken away. The Hydralisk's working nicely against some of these buildings, but it's not going to be enough. Down goes quite a few of the Vipers, actually, only leaving one. So again, that gas loss really coming back to hurt Bly. Double Hellbat drop, not going to occur. But to be honest, at this stage, jjakji doesn't care. That was just if I lose him, it doesn't really matter, because he's trying to just pump out as many Ravens as possible. Ultra late game. Terran now. Mass Raven, Mass Viking. Laugh with the Seeker missiles. Bide your time with the Seeker missiles. But importantly, we do have quite a few Broodlords coming on down, and these haven't been seen. jjakji, as far as I'm aware, has zero information about this. He doesn't know about the Great Aspire. He's seen Ultras. He can probably assume that at some point, Bly may attempt to go for these Broodlords. The concern I have for Bly, however, though, is while he's got 13 Broodlords morphing, he's only got 17 Hydralisks on the ground. And so, of course, this could be a very, very troublesome position for the Broodlords. Because without any Corruptors spoiling them, the Vikings are going to be in a very strong position. There's only one Infestor coming on out. Again, that doesn't have pathogen glands. That's just getting researched now. Without Fungals, without Corruptors, you're relying upon the Hydralisks, really, to try and pick off the Vikings before they're able to kill the Broodlords. But the Hydras are going to have a tough time getting close, because even with the Broodlords, the tanks are still going to be very, very threatening. But this is the best chance for Bly. Now the Broodlords have been seen. A little bit irritating. How does jjakji respond? He needs to try and get a Seeker missile connection. That's the other trouble of being reliant on the Hydralisks, is it means that these lovely Ravens can get a bit closer. In they go, a couple of PDDs, Seeker missiles, not yet triggered, just using the point defense drones for the moment. Good amount of damage coming down from these Vikings. The Raven energy not that high as of yet. But in now come these Vikings. Moving further forward, of course, there are still those Hydralisks trying to get the damage down. The Broodlings making the tanks fire on themselves. Bit irritating there. The Vikings still trying to chip out more damage. These PDDs are out of energy. Bly working his way forward. jjakji still up in terms of the supply overall. And unfortunately, just the volume of Vikings have taken down the Broodlords. It was a nice attempt by Bly, but there's just so many tanks so far back. I don't really see a way for Bly now. He's adding in a lot more Ultralisks, which obviously can't, or aren't really affected by Seeker missiles as a whole. He's got a lot of health, but jjakji, 180 supply to 147. Bly is doing a valiant job battling through this. He has got a lot of Queens as well. Now that's very important for him if he is going for these Ultras long term, because it gives him the option to transfuse them, keep him alive even longer. But jjakji is just slowly edging forward, and looking at the resources lost difference, nearly 10,000 more resources lost by Bly. Just a few tanks waiting over here now. Good scans coming down from jjakji. He just wants to get all the information, and who can blame him? He's got 9 orbital commands, so he's got a lot of energy to scan if he so wants. jjakji's still mining away nicely from all of these bases, getting the gas in. He's up to now 12 Ravens. We're 30 minutes through this game, by the way. This is just very, very difficult for Bly, because he knows he's in a rough spot. It's just how he chooses to try and engage this. Here come the Seeker missiles, focusing down the Queens. They're going to be the slow part of this puzzle. Quite a lot of damage. Great transfusing from Bly. Manages to keep them all alive, actually. Those transfuses were solidly on the money. Great work by Bly. Energy through energy. An Overseer does die. That's not the end of the world, though. Still more transfuses. A couple of Infestors more trying to sneak their way out. That'll take the count up to 8 for Bly overall. Tanks leapfrogging forward. A couple of scans coming on down. Still the tanks in a nice spot. The concern is going to be those Infestors. If they got a good fungal, it would be a problem, because look how clumped this air army is getting. Makes it look very scary times. Patiently waiting for somewhere to attack. Good number of Vipers out as well. jjakji just slowly creeping forward, leapfrogging his way. Landing those Vikings as well. He might want to keep some of them in the skies, actually, just because of the Vipers. But he's going for it now. Bly forced to fight here. He's going in with some great blinding clouds. These Vipers just on a little bombing run, throwing down the gas. And with that, Bly trying to take the best trade he can. All of these tanks out of the action, but blinding cloud doesn't last forever. The Ravens, they've got some good trades. Bly down to 100 supply at this stage, and jjakji again only losing fractionally less than Bly, but he already had more out on the field. He's already taken a lot of very favourable trades. Should be able to demolish this base to the left, and it's not looking good for the Acer Zerg at the moment. Losing a hatchery, jjakji still pressuring forward. His tank count up at 23. He's adding 3 more at a time. There are a couple of Ultralisks trying to make their way onto the field, but jjakji dismantles this base to the left. Going to be pushing into the center now. jjakji got quite a bit of momentum. The Ravens still have a fair bit of energy. There's 8 of them out on the field now. A couple of Seeker missiles between them. Not that many, but their energy slowly creeping on up. Down goes the 5th base of Bly. And jjakji still just in a strong spot. The the Viper count still staying up at 6. I don't think any of them actually got taken down in their little bombing run. They're going to be consuming up a lot of energy very, very quickly. Unfortunately, killing off those extractors. Those poor drones are just like, for goodness sake, guys. So just one lone tank left over here, preventing any quick retake of that. A few SCVs also being suicided through, freeing up more supply. jjakji still just sitting at the 9 orbital commands. I say just, he can still have obviously a huge number. Is he actually trying to float this over to come and land it over here? He needs to clear out that Overlord if that is his plan. few more SCVs get picked off. But jjakji moving up the right-hand flank. He's going to be looking to try and slowly close his grip on his opponent. This poor tank is now going to die. Nothing can be done about it. But will it matter? A couple of blinding clouds now coming down as the engagement on the right-hand side. Good Seeker missiles onto a lot of those ultras. Great fungal growth on the Ravens. The Seeker missiles will connect, but the blinding clouds just everywhere. Unsieging those tanks, pushing forward with them. jjakji now up by over 100 supply. 130 army supply up at this stage. And he's pushing through. More good fungals. Bly doing everything he can. Remember, his position in this tournament reliant on him winning this game. But it's not going to be enough. GG, well played, and jjakji is going to advance into the finals.